everyone. Welcome to Nomads No Worries. My name is Steve.
And I am Jack. Good afternoon.
Today, we have a great show, as we always do. We're going to be talking about the country of Ecuador, which is going to be fun. Jack has spent a lot of time in Ecuador, and I have a lot of friends who live there, or a few friends who live there, have been there, and have gotten some insights as well. So
That's right. I'm excited to talk about Ecuador. I feel like it's kind of an underrated country. People usually just go to the Galapagos, and we'll talk about that. But I think there's actually a lot of really cool places in Ecuador, and people should totally consider putting that on their travel short list, as we say.
hell yeah. All right. Let's talk about it, Jack. So you can get these people hyped and give them your reasoning. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the it's the capital city, right?
No, this is well, we can start with the capital city. We can talk about Quito.
Yeah,
Okay.
or whatever. Where do you want to start?
No,
I don't even
let's
know.
start with the capital. You're right. Like, let's think about this. You're probably flying into the capital.
Hmm.
What can you expect when you fly into Quito? And now this isn't the official sort of term for the city, but this is what I call it. I call it the San Francisco of Ecuador. And
Mm.
really, I only have one reason why. It is so incredibly hilly, okay? It is like, in San Francisco, you got the trolleys and that you got to walk up the steep hills to go everywhere. Quito's the exact same way. It's high elevation, but it creates a weird climate because, Ecuador, equator, you would think that it's really hot, but because of the such high elevation of the city, it's actually a little bit cold. And in combination with the hills, though, it's actually kind of nice because you're kind of working pretty hard to walk around this city. And we had an Airbnb. I don't know if this is everyone's experience, but we had an Airbnb that felt like it was on the top of a hill. And so it was great leaving the Airbnb, but I was always dreading coming back. So Quito's kind of in a nutshell, a hilly, cold capital of Ecuador.
Dude, I'll be honest, I did not know Quito was the capital. That's why I said, should we start with the capital? I thought the first city you had listed there on your outline was the capital. You're like, oh yeah. So I just learned something. And the reason I didn't think it was the capital is because I know it's not the biggest city, but the biggest city also
Oh,
is not the capital. It is Guayaquil is
Guayaquil.
yeah. So I was confused, but I'm glad we cleared that up.
Yeah, no, I mean, that added a little spice to the intro, so I think that was great. I kind of rolled with it, and that made sense. So you were on the pulse of how we should do the episode, just kind of naturally, so I felt like that was really good.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. What else about it?
Yeah, so my favorite thing to do when we were in Quito was hike Cotopaxi. And so, we've all been around with everyone wearing maybe Patagonia, but another popular outdoors brand is Cotopaxi, and it's actually because of the Cotopaxi in Ecuador. And one of the coolest things about it was we got to do a hike, and we hiked up over 16,000 feet, and it was snowing. And that was just wild to me. I didn't think it would snow. I don't know why I didn't look this up, but I'm like, dude, we're on the equator. There's no way it's going to be snowing on the equator. And sure enough, it's up there. And I'll throw some content up there for the viewers to kind of see, but I was
Yeah.
just woefully unprepared. I was wearing like sneakers and like pants, and it's just snowing out, and we're on a pass, and it's called like Heartbreak Pass or something. So that was an interesting thing, but it's a beautiful landscape. I mean, it's absolutely incredible area, and it was actually fairly close to Quito. So that was one of my favorite things we got to do. I highly recommend it. There is a reason why they built a brand. I mean, it's just this massive volcano right there, and it was really cool. Really cool thing to hike.
Now I feel like the Cotopaxi brand has like a llama logo. So were there llama vibes in this area that you saw?
I think there are definitely llamas or alpacas, maybe, because I think alpacas are
My
actually
bad, dude. God, I'm not on it today, dude. Like, yeah, obviously it's alpacas. It's not llamas.
right,
God, I'm an
right.
idiot.
And now I'm not David Attenborough, but I'll try to go over it where it's like, you got the alpaca and they're sort of like, I believe they're like the wild version or they're like the sister cousin of a llama. So they're all in the same thing. You got the alpacas, you got the vicuñas, which are even more rare, and there's also a third species. And they all sort of hang out in the Andes. I
Okay.
don't particularly remember that moment seeing one. Maybe it was because it was like so high elevation, like they're like, I'm not trying to chill in the snow. But yeah, that's the vibe. I was like, man, this is really cool. Like Cotopaxi, like we got the brand. My girl's got got a windbreaker on with the logo. We're like definitely ready to go.
Yeah, I'm sure that shit was colorful. They have some colorful shit, Cotopaxi.
It's
Yeah.
kind of giving me other vibes, Steve. I don't know, a local Denver brand. Shout out Topo Designs.
Oh, we do love Topo.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Very,
So definitely.
very similar vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm going to be in Denver next week, so I'll kind of be boots on the ground and see if we have anyone in Cotopaxi gear for our viewers.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. I had a couple friends give me a hot take about their experience in Quito, and I just want to
Okay.
share it because
Okay.
now they said this was their experience, and they've had a lot of people give them the opposite and be like, "No, we had a great experience." But they just thought, so first of all, they said Quito is stunning. It's beautiful, right? Like you were saying, the hills, like mountains, everything, like it's awesome, like beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But they said it felt like the most sketchy city we visited in South America. Just a few minutes after stepping outside of our Airbnb, and these people are a couple, boy and a girl.
Okay.
When they first got there, two men aggressively made a vulgar gesture and comment to the girl. And
Wow.
the dude was there, but they still like her boyfriend was there, but they still felt pretty scared and uncomfortable.
Wow.
So imagine if she was a solo female traveler, that would have been super sketch. Um, so I think that experience, just because they just arrived there, put a bad taste in their mouths.
Yeah.
And beyond that, they just kind of felt sketchy. Locals told them not to go outside after dark.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of travelers they knew had been robbed there. But anyway, that was just their experience. I don't know if you felt that way. Maybe it's fine. Everyone has a different experience, but
Yeah, it reminds me of our previous episode where I was kind of complaining that I never get robbed or harassed, and I
right.
wonder if I just like blended in too much, and they weren't like they didn't think I was worth it.
Yeah.
But no, I mean it was kind of a dreary city. We only spent a few days there. I mean it was really to facilitate some travel and to see Cotopaxi and that sort of thing, but it wasn't really sort of a main destination. And I would definitely, I would agree with that. And I would say not to go. I'm not going to say not to go anywhere, but I wouldn't say not to go because it's unsafe. At least from my perspective, I just wouldn't go because I just feel like there's other things that maybe are a little bit more interesting to see. So
Okay. No, that's
yeah,
good. Awesome. All right, let's move on
yeah.
to you said something you were about to say something really, really cool. You were really
All
gassed up. Let's
right.
go.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So this city that's on the top of my outline is one of my most favorite cities I've ever lived in traveling. It's one of the few cities I feel like I could actually live, because I felt like it was so livable. I felt like the weather was perfect. And the city is called Cuenca. Okay. And it's sort of in the middle. It's in the mountains. It's about 9,000 feet up. And because of this dynamic, it's sort of called the City of Eternal Fall, where every day feels like that day that's like late summer, early fall. You could do pants, you could do shorts, maybe a windbreaker, maybe a Cotopaxi windbreaker, something like
Dude.
that.
I love the smell of like that day, that time period you're talking about. Like it just smells
Yeah.
different. It starts to smell like fall. Oh, that's a great feeling.
Yeah, no, it's great, and it's just like every day is kind of like that, but it was never uncomfortable. And what was great too is a pretty naturey place. There's actually four rivers that sort of converge in the city, and so you kind of have like these large trees that are kind of more the mountainous, like coniferous trees that always like I feel like that reminds me of Denver a lot, like a great almost like mountain smell with the water rushing, and then the weather just being very consistent yet pleasant every single day. And that combination with like, it's not a large city, it's probably more of a medium size or smaller city. And so it really felt like there was like a real community there. Everyone there sort of, really lived there, and I felt like everyone was very welcoming. In addition, Steve, I know this is something that'll resonate with you, is we had a really amazing Airbnb there, and I think that also helped
Yeah.
helped our travel time.
Yeah. That's what I mean, it makes a big impact. If you have a nice place to stay, it just makes the whole vibe of your experience in the city better. But yeah, that's great.
Yeah, now I'd love to talk about, there's some history about this city. And so this city is actually where the Panama hats are from. So if you think about the Panama hat, the classic, like, it's like the beige with like the single thing, they're
Mhm.
actually from Cuenca. Okay, they're actually from Ecuador. And the reason why they're actually called Panama hats is because when the United States came in to build the Panama Canal, the workers wore those hats. And when Teddy Roosevelt did his famous sort of speech and like being down, checking out the Panama Canal, he wore that hat at the Panama Canal. So
Yeah.
I feel like maybe they're a little salty about, they kind of missed, a little good marketing, but actually the hats are from Cuenca, Ecuador. We did a little tour where I got to like be part of the hat making, and we went to like the original spot where they have all the hats, and they kind of talk about the history, and getting a really legit hat. It just, when you buy like a Panama hat like in at the fair in Iowa, it's just like has like this like plasticky feel. But when
Yeah.
you get the Panama hat in Cuenca, it's like, it just feels like it's a great material. It's handmade. They have all sort of little different flavors. And
So it's called Panama because the US president happened to be wearing one while he was in Panama and like gave a speech. So that now people just associate it with Panama. Is that right?
exactly, yeah, he like Teddy Roosevelt just like made it famous. And I believe also the workers wore it when they were like building it. But like
Mm,
really, like the blockbuster moment was Teddy wearing the hat.
got it.
So, yeah. So that's kind of a cool thing. Definitely recommend kind of going on that little tour to kind of check out the hats and everything. And another nickname for the city is the Athens of Ecuador. Now, I have no idea why it's called the Athens of Ecuador, but I do think that's a cool name, and I love the city of Athens, so I just want to throw that in there. And then also, the real full name of the city is kind of a mouthful, okay? It's Santa Ana de los Rios de Cuenca, because of the four rivers that I mentioned, the rivers of Cuenca. So interesting. It's an interesting thing. And one of the other things that we did that I really enjoyed was we went to a national park, and it was called Parque de las Cajas. And if you're a Star Wars fan out there, think about like, the Ewoks on Endor, where it's like this like jungly, but like not like tropical jungle, like mountain jungle type of national park vibe, where it's kind of like foggy, and they got like more, mountainy sort of foliage and floral and stuff. And it's about 45 minutes outside the city. And the way we got there, because we didn't have a car, was we took the bus. And the problem was the bus only came every hour. And so when we were leaving, we like missed the bus. Like, I swear we see the bus leaving.
Classic. Yeah.
And I just like, I forgot why it was in my head, but I really wanted to do this. So I had my girlfriend at the time, right? And there was like this little, like, tiny ass bus stop, right? And I was like, okay, I want you to go hide in the bus stop so the cars can't see you. And then I was out there trying to hitchhike. Okay. So I'm out
Yeah.
there hitchhiking, and we eventually get someone to pick us up, and it was a guy who was like a local soccer ref. And he took us all the way back to town and kind of told us about, that was like the first time I actually heard about cuy, which is also very popular in Peru, which is eating guinea pig. And he kind of told us about his city and told us about Ecuador and everything like that. But it was really cool because I really wanted to hitchhike in my life. And for whatever reason, I feel like hitchhiking in foreign countries is safer than hitchhiking in America. Maybe I've watched too many like A&E, Unsolved Murders, CSI Miami. I don't know, but I felt like if we were going to hitchhike, Ecuador sounds like a great place to do it.
It's definitely more common in other countries. So it's more normal. Like in the US, people are like, you're a psycho. Like that's fucked. If you're hitchhiking, that's like psychotic, but other places
Yeah.
it's not too crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And it went great. It was honestly, I was like, you know what? Like, I learned more from this hitchhiking experience than like, my couple of weeks I'd spent in Cuenca. Because it's just like you're getting like a real unfiltered sort of like guy who lives there. And when you meet someone and you're in your home city and you meet someone that's like interested in where you're from, you're going to talk their ear off. You're going to love to kind of hear about, for us, Steve, it's a city of fountains. We love to talk about where we're from and why we like it. And I think that when you get to have those moments with people genuinely that aren't tour guides who have to say it every single day,
Yeah.
I think that it really creates a great experience.
I like that. And you speak Spanish, which is a huge advantage in that situation.
Yeah, that was actually a bonus, right? Like, I think hitchhiking in Morocco or something probably wouldn't have gone as well. Yeah, it was a good opportunity in
Yeah.
Ecuador. So,
Hell yeah. That's great.
so that's Cuenca. If you want a little kind of a great calm town that's still fun, they got some that they have some interesting restaurants there. That was where Steve, I messaged you. I don't know if you remember this, but I took a photo and they had a very interesting restaurant there where they served wings. And the color scheme, the branding was green and white. Okay, now it wasn't Wing Stop, but it was Stop Wing, and it slapped. Okay, it was good. They still had the lemon pepper. They still, they still made really good wings. Just for whatever reason, they kind of got the name mixed up. I don't know what their angle was. Wink, wink. But
it's like Spanish, how it's like backwards, like you say the adjective, if I say I'm a happy guy in Spanish,
yeah.
like I'm a guy happy. So really that's probably how it happened. Stop wing.
Yeah, so this was pre-ChatGPT, so maybe, they didn't really get a lot of good consultation there from a native English speaker, or maybe they just weren't trying to pay royalties or franchise fees back to Stop Wing, but
No,
either way, I appreciate the
that's not
hustle.
it.
Right, that couldn't be it. It was just honest mistake. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I've told you my fun fact about Wingstop. It was
Okay.
actually founded by someone who went to the same university as us.
Wait, what?
Our alma mater.
Wait.
The CEO and founder of Wingstop is a K-Stater.
Shout out. Wait, how long ago? How long has Wingstop been around?
1994 in Garland,
Wow.
Texas was so yeah, it's Dallas based. Like the guy lives in Dallas, might be from Dallas, but he went to K-State. And to me, that's probably our most important alumnus, most important alum for the whole university, the whole history of it. I know we have the guy who invented the snooze alarm clock, and some other big names.
Do?
Yeah, dude. Oh, yeah. He invented the snooze button. But
go Cats, baby.
He might be a close second, but I think Wingstop is got to be just our most prominent, most important alum.
Well, Steve, we have a great story. Me and you at Wingstop. We watched Forks Over Knives, if anyone's ever seen that, which is an anti-meat Netflix documentary. And so we went to our local grocery store to pick up vegan food. And then we kind of got hungry in the store, and so there was a Wingstop across the street. We said, we'll start the vegan stuff after the Wingstop. It'll be like kind of our last stop, you could say.
The last
before
supper.
we did, the last supper, the last time we got to eat something good. So that was great. That was a great Wingstop moment. And we didn't really last too long on the vegan stuff. I think you actually powered through a little bit longer than I did, but still, it was a good moment.
Yeah, every time I ate a vegan like fake meat meal, I could just still taste those wings from our last supper. And I think that's, they just kept calling me back. And so that's why I didn't last too long as a vegan. But anyway.
Steve, look, a jack of all trades, master of none doesn't help anyone. But Steve being a master of eating wings, I mean, we gotta cultivate that, okay? Like, we don't want you to quit. We don't want one of the greatest wing eaters of all time, the greatest wing eater that I personally know to be vegan. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, what if one day Tiger Woods was just like, you know what? I don't like golf. I'm gonna take up badminton.
Yeah,
And that's gonna be my new thing. Fuck that. So
yeah,
that's not how it should go. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. We're all born for something, okay?
Oh.
Some of us are blessed, okay? And right, yeah, my co-host, you should see him. It's crazy. So, anyway, now another restaurant that was interesting, just a little kind of tied up here, they had a Chipotle as well. So, Chipotle. Yeah, so I'm not exactly, they kind of served burritos, but it was kind of a build your own. Interesting stuff. It was really good, pretty creative.
So it's like there's a person on the other side of like a glass, and you kind of direct them and tell them how to make your burrito.
Yeah, yeah. It was honestly, it was so good, and they're big burritos, right?
That's
Now
really
they kind,
innovative. I've never heard of
yeah,
anything like this before in my life.
yeah, no, and it's crazy, right? It's like now I know there's been a little bit of flack. The burritos probably gotten a little smaller since I was there in Cuenca, but
Hmm.
like they're badass. It was delicious. So definitely go if you want to get a big burrito, go to Cuenca.
And it's spelled like, you could also maybe pronounce it Chipotle. Is it spelled the same way?
That's it. That's it. Like the pepper.
Yeah, but it's spelled like the same way as the pepper.
No, because they were Chiplo.
Chiplote. Got it. Okay, no,
Yeah,
I just want to
yeah,
confirm. Okay, so it's different.
yeah.
Okay.
So different. They kind of had a unique spin as well. Like the stop wing Chiplote was. Yeah, they had a cool
Man,
thing.
dude, they come up with some really good ideas down there in Ecuador. Like these
Yeah,
guys have some original thoughts. Like I don't know, that's wild that they can come up with that.
yeah. They really need to bring that to the English market. I have a feeling in America we would crush both of those restaurants constantly. So anyway, that's kind of it for Cuenca. I think it's a really nice, calm town. If you're a nomad who maybe you need like a little bit of a calm session, maybe you just got back from something crazy like Shanghai or some crazy city like that. You need a little chill out sesh. Definitely check out Cuenca. That would be my recommendation.
I'm glad that you cleared that up because, dude, I thought keto, like, because you had told me about Cuenca, like, before when you were there and stuff. And I thought you were
Yeah.
talking about keto that whole time. I remember you loved Cuenca and then,
Yeah.
and so I thought you were talking about keto. So I'm really glad I didn't go to keto because, like, I was considering going to Ecuador this year.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, and I was like, oh, Jack loved keto. So I'm glad I didn't go there instead of Cuenca. So I'm glad we
Yeah.
cleared that up.
Yeah, we're gonna travel a little bit. We're gonna talk about the Galapagos, but first we can,
Well,
yeah, but we talk about how we get there. And so you can either
okay.
fly from the Galapagos, either from Quito or Guayaquil. And we actually chose Guayaquil. And that's kind of a pretty sketch city. It's not really a touristy city. It's kind of a rougher city, but I kind of enjoyed it. One of the cool things they had was it's right on the coast, but there's also like sort of like different pieces of land separated by water, and they had a cool gondola system that like goes over the water instead of taking like a ferry, and I thought that was kind of a
That's cool.
unique
Yeah.
angle. But anyway, we do Guayaquil for maybe like a day or something, and then we hit the big kahuna. We hit why everyone comes, the main stop, the Galapagos Islands. Okay, and let's talk about why are the Galapagos Islands famous. And one of the core reasons is because Charles Darwin used the Galapagos Islands to basically come up with the theory of evolution.
Yeah,
Okay?
baby. The beak.
Because, yeah,
Yeah, you say it. You say it.
no, you got it. No, you're on it. You're on it. It's the birds, the hummingbirds, and the beaks. And because of the isolation of the animals on the islands, he was able to understand in the time span of a human life to be able to see a species evolve, and that really is what kind of solidified it for him. And on the Galapagos consequentially, they do have the Charles Darwin Research Center, and that is a really cool spot. You get the 100-plus-year-old tortoises. You have all the cool birds and the snakes, and all the different crazy wildlife, and it's kind of a fun thing to kind of walk around and discover. We got like a little bit of a tour. I got a bee sting during the tour, but I still had a great time. And so I would say I would definitely, if you go to the Galapagos, I would spend a little bit of time away from the beach, away from the water excursions, which I feel like is definitely the main attraction, to check out the Charles Darwin Research Center, because you really get to see some very unique, literally one of a kind, they don't exist anywhere on planet Earth type of
Dude,
animals. And
dude,
yeah,
this stat here, this is insane. 80% of the land birds and then 97% of the reptiles and land mammals are endemic. That you find in the Galapagos Islands are endemic, which means they're not found anywhere else in the world. That's wild.
crazy. One of my our first day there, okay, we go to this beach, okay, and on the beach, it's this beautiful untouched beach, and there are in the water swimming marine iguanas. They're the only species of iguanas that like swim. And it's like it's like the waves on the beach, and you like see these iguanas like swimming through, and it is a wild, absolutely wild sight. A little creepy too, because like I don't know when I go in the water and like surrounded by all these spiky iguanas, but
Yeah.
it was a very interesting thing. And the reason why I say untouched and calm is I believe I'm one of the luckiest people on earth for this moment, okay? I went to the Galapagos in the heat, in the absolute peak of COVID. Peak of COVID. I'm telling you, we get off the plane and there's a guy in a hazmat suit who sprayed me down with a chemical. I have no idea what that chemical was. I'm like on the tarmac, like this, like hands up, like I'm a prisoner, and he sprays me down. Like, and he's in a full hazmat suit. So I don't know what happened to me. I still feel great. Honestly, I feel younger than ever. But I felt like that was a wild experience. And when we were on, those islands, like there was literally no one else there. I mean, we literally had the place to ourselves, and the animals like really took over. I mean, I remember walking around the docks on the Galapagos, and it's like the seals, the sea lions are literally sleeping on the benches, and it's like there's nowhere to sit. Not because of the people, but because the animals are just kind of taking over. They're like, oh, everyone's gone. This is our opportunity. I mean, I remember the proximity to wildlife was absolutely insane. One time we are eating dinner at night, obviously, and there's a pool at this hotel, and we're eating on the water, like right on the water, and a sea lion comes out of the water and starts swimming in the pool with the few people that were in the pool while we're eating. I got a video of this, okay? So it's like, imagine being in a regular hotel swimming pool and there's a freaking sea lion swimming around with you. Like, that is, like, honestly, SeaWorld doesn't have shit on the Galapagos, okay? And they can't recreate that, okay? If they recreated that, PETA would have a heyday. They would be pissed.
True, true. Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah. So, like, I'm trying to put in perspective that, like, the wildlife is just so close. And one of my most favorite thing, I did a lot of scuba diving there, but my most favorite thing was a snorkel trip where there was about 7 of us, and we chartered a private boat and we went out to this cove and we got to do snorkeling. And I mean, the amount of wildlife there was, I mean, I don't think I'll ever see something like that again in my life. I remember seeing my girlfriend at the time, she's snorkeling with 3 huge giant sea turtles right around her, just hanging out. There's these beautiful reef sharks. There's all this fish around us. There's like these crazy trees that, like, at first it's like a tree trunk, and instead of leaves they have cactus on top, and like it was just like a surreal, like just surreal experience, and it was just one of the coolest single things I think I've ever done on my traveling, was that snorkel day of just being able to be around those animals in like such a it didn't feel like I was on a tour. It's like, okay, here you go.
Mhm.
Like, you're hanging out with these fish now. All right, let's go to this next spot. No, it was like we chartered the boat. We hung out there for like 8 hours. Honestly, the guys driving the boat got a little drunk, a little uncomfortably drunk for my taste, but it's all good. There wasn't really anything to run into. And it was an absolutely beautiful experience, just being so close to those animals. And I would say, if you're an animal lover, you love nature, maybe you got a little science bone in your body, I think that going to the Galapagos is probably one of the best places on earth to be able to kind of have those experiences. I mean, my sister is a scientist, and she's still to this day is like so jealous of that experience for me. So cannot overstate how cool that was. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm
Yeah.
I'm sold. Yeah, I think you even
Yeah.
said it ruined it, like snorkeling and like diving for you, and in the rest of the world, you're like, it's just never gonna live up to Galapagos.
Yeah, yeah. So I did some scuba in the Galapagos, and our first scuba trip was, I don't want to say normal, because I mean the amount of animals you saw was really crazy. I mean, there were a ton of them everywhere. But we had to do, that was kind of our warm-up dive, and we wanted to do there's a very famous dive in the Galapagos, and if you're a scuba diver really of any level, it does not require any special skill. But it's called the Gordon Rocks dive, and you got these like three rocks that are kind of in the middle of the ocean, and you got the blue-footed boobies that are on the rocks hanging out. The classic little, they almost look like seagulls, but with like the bright blue feet, sky blue feet, and then underneath are basically this, I don't know what you call them, a group of hammerhead sharks. And I'm talking 50 to 100 of these hammerhead sharks, and they're kind of swimming around in this pool, and we basically got to go in there. It was such a cool thing. We got to do two dives that day, both just in the same spot. We just sent it again because it was like that cool. And you are in there, and you are no cage, you're just with your group of people, and you see these behemoth, hammerhead sharks, just complete alpha males of the ocean swimming around together. You can see every muscle and like every fiber of their body turning, and just it was just such a awe-inspiring thing. I was like, this is the coolest scuba thing I've ever done in my
Yeah,
life. Like,
damn. Yeah,
really crazy. Yeah. And I have some videos of that too. I'll definitely upload them. But after that dive, I will admit, and I tell Steve this all the time, I'm just like, dude, I'm kind of over scuba diving. It was so cool. And maybe it's been a couple years since I've done it, so maybe I'd be okay with it again. But for a while, I was like, dude, I'm not going to go scuba diving like I'm not going to go to like Cancun and go scuba diving. Like, I just like, it's not like
yeah,
the coral reef is dying. Like, I've seen a sea turtle, I've seen, a manta ray. Like, it was a really cool experience. Yeah. So the way it works, right? Let's say if you're from Ecuador, and you want to live on the Galapagos, you actually can only live there for 2 years. So even if you are a citizen of Ecuador, you are not allowed to actually move to the Galapagos to live. Only people that are like actually indigenous to the Galapagos are allowed to live there, or if you have a job doing some sort of activity there. But even with that job, you have a time limit of 2 years.
what, man? Okay,
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, it's like
yeah,
a digital nomad visa. That's wild.
yeah. Yeah, so even within the country of Ecuador, they are trying everything they can to preserve how the Galapagos is. And, one of the biggest issues, is us humans coming around and ruining everything. And so they just know, if they can really keep that tight and really keep the tight control over who can actually be there, just enough people to essentially run the stuff, that is really it can maintain how beautiful and how impactful it is for many generations to come.
Yeah, I see the opposite here in Colombia, like on the coast of Colombia. It's one of the most naturally beautiful places I've ever been. But like there's just trash everywhere. Like they just
Yeah.
don't give a shit. I'm like, wow, that's a beautiful tree. Oh, but there's like an egg carton in it. Oh, there's like a milk carton. There's like beer bottles hanging from the tree. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, I remember seeing that in like Medellin too. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know if maybe Colombia, they just, they don't care as much. Ecuador, they really, at least in the Galapagos, they in my opinion, they truly recognize how special of a place it is. But even that being said, I would go sooner rather than later because you never know what can happen in this kind of climate. I think, Steve, you're actually gonna maybe kind of this could be the segue into kind of what you would like to discuss because things maybe will change with, the climate that is developing
Yeah.
in the
So,
Ecuadorian political scene.
yeah. So one thing, and I remember you mentioning that there were like numbered political parties, and there were quite a few when you were there, and maybe it's been a
Yeah.
few years, but right now, I guess the political situation is super polarized between these two candidates. So they just had their election in April, and 90% of the vote went towards these two candidates, even though I know people have a lot more options down there, right? Didn't you say,
Right.
what was it? Like they had like 16.
Yeah, something like it was like party number 3 was campaigning heavily when I was there, and they need a
Yeah.
little bit better branding. Take a note from the stop wing people.
So actually these political parties have some pretty sick names. Okay, so the guy who won, so Daniel Noboa, was reelected for a 4-year term this year, and his party is called the National Democratic Action Party. It's like
Okay.
the term action in there.
Yeah, I like
Um,
that.
and the guy he defeated was from the Citizen Revolution movement. I
Hmm.
love that one, dude. Like, I would join that party. There's like, dude, come on, you want to join the revolution? I'd be like, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Sounds badass. I'll vote for the revolution.
Yeah, I'm all about it. Like, let me get
That
me
like
out there.
sounds like I'm really making a difference. The revolution movement, that sounds cool. It's better than just like Republican, Democrat. Like those are boring words.
So, Steve, can we distill? Do we have any idea, past the branding? Like, are there some core tenets of like these parties? Like, do they have vastly different views, or like, what's the situation?
Well, here's what sounds like both of their views include, which
Okay.
is which is corruption.
They both
So
love
I
corruption.
They both love corruption. So I reached out to some friends, like I said, who live in Ecuador. Or they're from Ecuador, to get some insights here. So it sounds like a lot of people, even though those guys got 90% of the vote, like a lot of people didn't really like either candidate because they've both been accused of helping the drug cartels. And this all kind of stems
Mm.
back from like the previous president, I guess. So I guess everything changed recently. I guess there's a joke they say when the Fire Nation attacked, which is, I
Is that an
guess,
Avatar joke?
it is an Avatar joke. Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Which
down.
I've never seen that show because I don't know, Jack. It just didn't, it rubbed me the wrong way that it was pretending to be anime when it's not actually made in Japan. Like it's a fake anime.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
as someone who's born in Japan and, anime's in my blood, it didn't
Right.
sit right with me.
Yeah, there's only one Pikachu, let's be honest here.
So there's all these memes on social media when this stuff happened, but so it is similar, like whatever the Fire Nation attacks are in that show, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay.
But it was a wave of violence in early 2024. And it's like, gang violence, a lot of it's cartel related, just lots of unrest, burning cars, gunmen, mass prison escapes, which is
That sounds
wild.
terrifying.
And so, yeah, I guess the leader of Ecuador's like most powerful gang escaped prison in 2024, which I'm like, dude, how do people escape prison? Like that always blows my mind. Like, in 2025, how do we hear about that? Like, okay, maybe,
Yeah.
100 years ago, guys would dig a spoon
Right.
under the fence or whatever. But this day and age, you can escape prison. So
This
that
goes
just,
back
I do a lot of shit. Yeah.
this goes back to our previous convo about like the electricity blackouts. In America, we're not having mass prison breaks. Okay?
No.
Like that is not happening. We spend way too much money on that shit.
Yeah,
Continue.
exactly. And so I guess it got
Yeah.
so bad, the gangs have started to kind of take over that now there's like a military crackdown. It's kind of like a little bit Civil War vibes, right? Because the gangs and the drug cartels are kind of attacking like citizens or the
Mm.
state, the media, like it's kind of terrorism vibes, civil conflict. So the country's homicide rate has actually quadrupled in the last few years.
Holy shit.
which is not that chill. Cause so yeah, I remember when I was looking to go there, some of my friends were like, "Oh, I don't know, it's kind of rough."
Mm,
But it sounds like it's mostly fine, but there are just some areas, maybe along the coasts, I guess I heard are worse than other places.
okay.
But yeah, there is a lot of, military in the streets in an effort to kind of regain control over all these like terrorists and other armed groups. So yeah, but yeah, lots of shootings, lots of homicides in the last few years, which isn't great. But yeah, I think if you stick to some safer areas, it'll be fine.
Wow, that's sad to see. Honestly, it felt like a pretty developed country when I was there. I mean, I feel bad that it's getting worse.
And it was, yeah. I mean, that's what's so wild about it is it's, known as before it was known as one of the, nicest countries in South America. Things were going well. And that's why they made the jokes, the memes about what's it called? The Fire Nation.
Yeah.
Because it's just like everything was fine. And then one day it just kind of like flipped when the Fire Nation attacked. And now things have not been great. Yeah, the homicide rate rose from 5 per 1,000 inhabitants to 46. And that's from 2017 to 2023.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Wow.
unfortunate. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, these gangs, like the biggest crime groups are the Los Chaneros and the Los Lobos. Um,
Okay.
but dude, they're working with international cartels from Mexico and Albania. I mean, dude, if
What?
you're working with Albania, shit is out of control.
Talk about having some reach, though. I mean, what do they? What does the flight path look like to get over there? Sounds pretty. I wouldn't want to be stationed there if I was Albanian.
Yeah, especially yes, if you're smuggling drugs, that's quite the distance to do that.
Yeah, it's not a direct flight. Yeah.
No. So anyway, I don't want to scare people. Like because one of my friends was like, yeah, you can definitely still come here. Just be extra smart and don't go to like the crazy, gang controlled sort of areas. But my friend also wanted everyone to know that Ecuador is incredibly beautiful. It's super diverse,
Yeah.
in terms of the landscapes and everything that you can see. So plenty of reasons to go and visit, but hopefully things get better soon. We'll see.
I agree, and I hope maybe the Galapagos is still chill because it's probably not a transit for the drug part. Like that sounds
Yeah.
really inconvenient to like go over there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
There's probably not a lot of There's not a big market, but yeah, it's so off the beaten path, right? Like if you're trying to move drugs, there's no reason to go out into those islands. That's just like going out of your way, right?
yeah, like you don't need to cause trouble over there. Yeah, I want to see this meme, Steve. This is interesting here. I love this Fire Nation thing.
Yeah, it's I think it was kind of a funny way to kind of cope with what was going on. Like obviously it was horrible, like people were dying and all this stuff. But that's what we do these days. We use like dark humor to kind of deal with things and feel better about it. It works for me, because if you're just like
Yeah,
sad the whole time, then it just gets worse. But yeah, they weren't
yeah.
trying to minimize the tragedy, just trying to process the extreme events.
Well, it's kind of great. I mean, for me now, I feel like I'll remember. So like maybe it keeps it top of mind to like because when these sort of things happen, really, attention matters. Like you want people to do something about it. So
True. So go viral with some funny memes to get people to
yeah,
pay attention.
exactly.
Uh, But yeah, it sounds like at the core is the guy who just got reelected. He's just been extremely corrupted by power and started like stealing money from the economy and just I think it's a trickle down effect, like when people at the top are doing sketchy things and being corrupt, then I feel like the citizens just don't give a shit as much anymore. Like I feel like I see that in Colombia. Like I know that they kind of have some corruption in their leadership. And so the citizens are always like running red lights, they act like stop signs don't exist when they're driving here. And we talked about the litter thing. They throw trash everywhere. They're like, well, if my president is stealing money from the economy or doing corrupt shit, then like, why do I have to, stop at a stoplight?
100%. honestly. 100%.
Yeah, not to be like negative about the country that you just said was awesome, but yeah, just to give everyone both sides and let them know
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. And, one of our tenets of travel that we've kind of developed on this show, other than take a weird trip, is things aren't usually as bad as you hear on the internet. It's good to be
Yeah.
aware of these kind of things, but it's bad everywhere, you know?
Yeah, the
Maybe
news
that's a
doesn't report
pessimistic way to say
on,
it. Yeah.
the news doesn't report on like the 98% of shit that's like totally normal and fine because that's boring. That's why it's not news. Like there's a person that just walked their dog and went to the grocery store. Like, they're not going to report that. They're only going to say if they got shot and killed at the grocery store.
Right, or like it's 72 and sunny, it's a bluebird day, that's not making it on the news, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
The
Only
sky
when it's
has
a
to be
deadly.
falling.
Yeah, it's got to
Yeah.
be a deadly fucking hurricane killing people. Then they'll tell you about it. But yeah, if it's a
Yeah.
beautiful, lovely day, you'll never hear about that.
Yeah, if the last airbender is still in charge, you're not going to hear about that. The show wouldn't have been made if the Fire Nation didn't attack, right? I mean, that's probably true.
Yeah. So it
Okay, I
sounds like
haven't
you've
seen the
seen you've
show.
seen the show.
No. I mean, sporadically. Like, I think it was like on, I don't know, maybe like on like Cartoon Network. Does that sound right?
I think it
Yeah.
was Nickelodeon, maybe.
Okay, maybe, okay. Yeah.
Well, you knew the reference right away, so
Right.
oh,
Because they attacked.
right, right.
Right? If they
But
didn't attack,
what
yeah.
if I said Pickle Rick though? Would you get that reference?
I mean, I'm honestly not intelligent enough to process those high level jokes that come out of that show, Steve. So to be honest, I'll laugh. I kind of give a courtesy one, but I don't think I really, it's kind
It's
of
over your
outside my
head.
pay grade. Yeah, like
Yeah, same here. It's too
I
smart
need.
for me.
But Steve, one thing is I'm pretty excited now we got AI. Like maybe there's an opportunity for AI to explain to me the nuances of the Rick and Morty jokes. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Or like explain to me why it's funny. Like why do people enjoy this show? And why do people feel the need to wear t-shirts of it?
And why do they feel the need if I don't get the joke to explain it to me? This is the thing. If you say the joke and no one gets it, it's okay. I miss all the time. Just move on. No explanation never works.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been in a situation where someone says a joke and they do the explanation and then everyone's like, "Holy shit, I'm slapping my knees. I
And then
can't
they
I
all
can't
start
stand."
laughing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like has that ever happened? Like
If anything, it just makes it more awkward after the explanation because then people are still not laughing and now they just got like explained to. So it's just like, all right. And then it's just awkward and you just got to move on.
yeah, and then you really have to move on and then it's like worse, You could have just ripped the band-aid off.
Yeah.
But you didn't. You
It's
didn't.
so
You put
true.
another one on there. You tried to fix it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You had a scab and then you ripped off the scab. So, all right.
but Steve, obviously we know this. We're professional podcasters.
We are.
So this is we're letting people know that the tricks of the trade here.
Yeah. We would never explain a joke.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I did in our group chat the other day, and I think still no one responded. So it's like whatever. We all make mistakes.
Yeah, I know. I've been there too. But we
Yeah.
learn from our mistakes. That's why we know this, is because we've done it.
Exactly. And we made it a lot of them. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, all right, cool. Well, I'm pumped to go to Ecuador one of these days. And yeah, Jack, thanks for sharing your experiences there. That was awesome. Definitely want to check out
Thank you.
Galapagos
Yeah.
and the other city that you enjoyed. So,
Not the capital.
not the capital, which is Quito.
Yeah, Cuenca. Yes.
Cuenca.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Well, until next time, everyone, check us out at Nomads No Worries podcast on YouTube. It's on TikTok. It's on Instagram. We're on, wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple. Engage with us. Check us out. Follow us. We love to hear from you. Tell your friends, tell your family about this podcast if you like it.
And you know what? If you're going to take a trip, make it weird, baby. Thank you.